Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Markham Gardens. This is Daniel Markham. It's a beautiful morning this morning. Last night we had about 1.5 inches of rain. That's one of the benefits here is we get a lot of rain, so it's great for the plants. Plants grow like crazy, but it's also, weeds get a little out of hand sometimes too. But anyway, I'm doing a little project this morning. Just thought I'd bring you along. One of the awesome things about living in this area that we found ever since we moved in is we have some neighbors in this area that are just incredible neighbors. The benefit is they're also into horticulture and gardening and things like that. And so for a gardener, that is a major benefit. I hope you guys are able to find some friends nearby and make connections like that as well. But I just wanted to bring you along with this project that I'm doing. Today we're planting rose cuttings. And one of the cool things about this area is because we get 55 plus inches of rain a year, is I can take those rose cuttings and I can literally dig out an area in the ground, plant those rose cuttings, keep them moist, put some mulch over the top of them to hold some moisture, and they will grow. They will root and they will do their own thing. So I'm going to take you along for this project. Let me show you guys real quick. We've got a neighbor that's down the street, and yesterday I saw these rose bushes in her yard that are blooming like crazy. Beautiful pink miniature roses. And I decided, well, I was going to pull over and see if I could figure out what kind of roses those were. And she was so kind as to go inside, grab some shears. She came out and took a whole bunch of cuttings off of the stuff and handed me a bunch of cuttings and said, here, go home and plant these at your place. And so very, very kind. If you're watching this, Marie, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. But today I'm going to do a video on planting those. If you're in Southeast Texas, or you're in a place that gets a lot of moisture, you're in a place where your soil has a lot of sand in it or a lot of organic material, you can do this too. Say hello to Leo, everybody that's trying to say good morning. Just crowing away back there. But let me show you real quick what it is that she gave, and then I'm going to show you guys the process that I used to go ahead and plant these cuttings. So these right here are the roses. Now I have had these. I mean, you can see they're beautiful. I mean, beautiful little roses. Little miniature pink roses, and they are just, they bloom so profuse. I mean, basically her whole fence is covered in these tiny little roses. And so what I did is I took these cuttings and I put them in basically a couple Tupperwares. I don't know if you can see. So I've got a couple of these totes, some of these storage totes, and they are full of rainwater that collects off of our roof. Literally drips right off the top of the roof whenever it rains. Last night we got 1.5 inches, so these got to overflowing. But I take these cuttings and I'll place these in here just so they get saturated with water. I want them to have as much moisture as possible before I plant them. That way when the sun hits them and begins drying them out, they have time to develop a root system before those stems completely dry out and the plant itself dies. So I'm just going to bring you along for the process here. Now, one of the things you want to think about whenever you're planting rose cuttings is make sure that when you're looking at your rose stems, if somebody's taking cuttings for you and you can't tell which side is the top and which side is the bottom, that can be a problem because you don't want to plant them upside down. You definitely don't want to put the rose portion in the ground and have the root portion sticking up into the sun where it is definitely not going to grow any roots. And so one of the things to look at, let me see if I can get in here close so that you can see. Well, if I can get a focus on it. There we go. Whenever you plant roses, the root side, the thorns are always going to face the root side. So you see how these thorns are facing down? That means that this side right here is the top of this rose, and the thorns are facing the ground. So that'll just give you an idea. Now I'm going to pull a few of these stems out of here and I'll get right back to you. Alright guys, so I have pulled out some cuttings. You see I've got quite a little bushel here of cuttings. And this is actually 4 different stems. These are 4 stems of rose cuttings, and I have gone ahead and made sure that they're facing the right direction. So the bottom here that's in my hand, this is the part that we're going to root. Okay. Now, in a lot of places where it's drier, and you may not have perfect soil. You may not have a situation where roses are going to root extremely easy like they do here. You may want to pull off some of the foliage on the bottom. You see, I've got a whole bunch of foliage that's still attached here on the bottom of these rose stems. But in this area, we get enough rain, it stays moist enough that it doesn't really matter here. I can throw these into the ground and they will begin to root. The foliage that is on there right now will go ahead and rot off and turn into compost, and it's really not going to make a major difference. So you can clean those off if you want to, if you just want them to look nice. But basically, I'm putting them out here at the front of a fence where nobody's going to see them but me until they start blooming and becoming beautiful. So now you can see here, I have already done one. There's a whole bunch of them that are planted here. I've got a hose that's running on it right now. You can see they're kind of growing up the fence there a little bit. You guys forgive the weeds. Like I said, 55 inches of rain. We're gonna get some weeds around here. But let me show you the hole that I've prepared for them. So let me set these down real quick. So the hole that I've prepared here, you guys can see I've just scratched out an area. And you can see that we've got this beautiful sandy loam here. It's a mix between a clay and a sand. And it is just about the perfect mix for rooting things. They get just enough air, but it keeps just enough moisture in there to go ahead and root things. And so what I've done is I've pulled back all the mulch. I've dug down into the sand just a little bit to make sort of a little pit. I hope you can see that. The light's really messing right now because it's because of the way the sunlight is going. But so let me show you real quick. What I'm going to end up doing is taking all of these rose cuttings that I've got right here. I'm going to put all of the bottoms together. And then I am going to place these in this hole with the bottoms. I'm just going to sink them right down in. And I'm going to spread them out. So I'm going to spread these cuttings out just a little bit. I'm going to stick them in the ground. Say hello to Patty, everybody. She's decided to come over and help me garden right now, as usual. Anytime that I'm recording, she likes to come over and make a bunch of noise so that you can't hear me and things like that. So you can see what she's going to come join me. So, but you can see here, I have placed these. Watch out, Patty. Patty, okay, I don't need your help. You can see that I've placed them down here in this hole. Hopefully you can see that. If you can't, I apologize. The light is not perfect. Now I'm just kind of shoving those down into the ground a little bit. Now this may seem super simple. And in some places where you have a lot of clay and you don't have a nice sandy loam, you guys may end up, ooh, can't see me. You guys may end up having to backfill with a bunch of compost. You may end up having to bring in some sand, some things that give a little bit more drainage, because if you have heavy clay and you bury those roses down in that clay, there's a good chance that they're going to remain too wet and that they will begin to rot and they'll never gain rooting. So they'll dry out above and they will rot below. And so, but here, because we've got such nice sandy loam, I can throw these directly into the ground like this, and they will root. I've just got to keep moisture on them until the time that I see new growth coming out on these stems. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to take this right here, all of this soil, and I'm just going to start pushing it right back into the hole. And I know this seems super simple, but I just want to show you guys how easy it is here in Southeast Texas to root these roses. Patty, yes, they're going to taste good. I need you to just leave them alone right now. Patty likes the roses too, apparently. So I'm just going to push all of this right back in here. Push this sandy soil right back into the hole. And make sure that these are secure in this sand. And then I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to sort of make a little bit of a well. I'm going to take all of the extra and I'm going to build it up around so that I almost have a little water well here, so that when I water, it holds moisture. And a little bit more moisture than it would usually.
Sorry for Patty, guys. She likes to talk when I talk. So you can see now I'm going to take all of this, all these leaves and this mulch, and I'm just going to pile it up around the area. See, because this mulch is key. This mulch is key in making sure that moisture stays in this ground. So anytime that I water the leaves, the mulch, the things like that, they're going to keep it from drying out and hold that moisture down in the root zone just long enough to allow these to root in this area. And so you can see, guys, that's literally all I've done. All I've done is throw them into the ground right here. I've buried them probably about 6 to 8 inches deep. There are several different branch nodes that are down below the soil line. Branch nodes and areas with knuckles on them have the most hormone to create the most root growth. And although roots can come from the very bottom of the stem where you cut them, most of the time the root growth is going to come from those nodes that are at knuckles where stems are connecting to the main stem. And so what I've done is I've planted that into the ground. I've put a whole clump of them here. Now I'm going to come over just like I did with this other side. I've got the hose that's been sitting on here while I've been planting that one. I'm going to go ahead and bring this hose over here, and I'm going to lay this hose down right on the back side of these, and I'm just going to soak this really, really well. And then I'm going to take a few of these and wrap them up through the fence. That way, whenever they do begin growing, they've got something to hold on to, and the wind is not blowing them all over the place and uprooting them, basically. I mean, you guys can see these are just, and I got some dirt on them, but these are just gorgeous roses. And you know, if you're in a drier area, or you're in a place that doesn't hold as much moisture, or maybe you don't get as much rain, you're going to want to go ahead and cut these roses off. These roses right here, all they're going to do is sap energy from the main plant. And so if you leave these roses on here, especially in a place that's a lot drier, that doesn't have a lot of nutrient and a lot of compost into the soil, these are actually going to pull energy from the root system. Instead of rooting, basically it's going to use all of its energy on these flowers, because it thinks, well, I've got to reproduce, I've got to make seeds, I've got to hurry up and reproduce because we're dying. And so you'll want to remove, for the best success, you're going to want to remove these flowers. But in this area, we don't even have to worry about it. These roses will take off no matter what. I'm not going to have any issues with that. And so I'm going to go ahead and leave them on there. And I'll come back at a later date and show you guys the success of them growing and how well they're doing. But basically, guys, that's it. That's all you do. If you're in Southeast Texas, guess what? You've got it easy. You can throw roses into the ground and they will root, they will grow, and literally just cuttings. You don't even have to have roots on them. Now, if you want to, you can put those cuttings into a pot. Oh, I got a kink in the hose over here. Patty just walked over. You can put those rose cuttings in a pot, and you can root those in the pot first, but just keep in mind you're going to have to keep water to that, and you're going to have to keep those moist until the time that you see new growth starting to establish on them. And then once the pot is rooted out, then you can take that pot and you can plant that wherever you want as well. There's several ways to do this, guys. I just wanted to show those of you that are here in Southeast Texas, or those of you that are in places where you get a lot of rain. You get, you know, anywhere from 40 inches and up. I mean, that's a lot of rain. We get, like I said, 55 inches. And so I don't really have to worry about these roses drying out before they begin to root. I just need to make sure that the medium that they're planted in is a good enough medium that has enough nutrient and enough moisture to give them the time to develop the roots so that they can begin to grow. You can see I've planted another one here and a lot of compost. I've got all these wood chips. You guys have seen in my previous videos, I've got wood chips galore. And so I had some wood chips in this area, and I dug down a little bit into the sand and planted a few more of these. You can see they're just stuck into the compost here. Sorry, I had you looking at the ground, didn't I? They are just stuck into the compost right here. No, Patty. And she's gonna eat them up before I can get them to grow. And they will begin to grow. They will root and they will do their thing. So anyway, I just wanted to take you along to what I'm doing today. I am gonna do probably, I think I've got 8 more holes of these to do. So if I can hold the energy today and if I can get it done, I'm gonna go ahead and get some more of these things planted. We're gonna have them planted all up and down this fence line that's right over here. All the way to the end I've got holes, and I basically am skipping a post on every other one and planting roses, and in between those we have morning glory vines growing. So I'm gonna get back at it. I hope this helps you guys. I realize it was super simple, I realize it was super short, but I just want you guys to realize that it's not always hard to garden, guys. If there's a rose vine or there's a rose bush that you really like and you live in this area, go take some cuttings. Don't steal them from people, but go talk to them, say, hey, can I take a couple cuttings off of your rose bushes? Most people in the area, especially if you have amazing neighbors like I do, are going to be totally willing to let you take a few cuttings. And this is how easy it is to root and start your own rose bushes there at your property or wherever it is that you're wanting to grow, guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, or even if you didn't, give me a like. If you'll go ahead and share, and if you'll go ahead and subscribe to this channel, it helps us out a lot. I'm really sorry if I made you guys dizzy and if you didn't get a lot of good angles on the plants, but I think for the most part you probably got the gist of it. So hope to see you guys next time. Love you guys. Peace.